At this time, I have important safety announcements concerning the use of the exterior platforms. First, another reminder that there is no crossing from car to car. Please have 3 points of contact, but do not lean on any of the chains near the platform. Anyone under the age of 16 needs to be accompanied by a responsible adult while outside. Finally, please be aware of your fellow passengers and share the limited platform space so everyone has a chance to enjoy them. With all that said, the conductor has given us the go-ahead to step outside and make use of the exterior platforms. The area we see to our left and right, outside of railroad track property, is the Tongass National Forest. It is the largest national forest in the country, and it's roughly the size of the state of West Virginia. Over 70 communities live inside the Tongass National Forest, with about 70,000 of Alaska's 760,000 residents. Alaska also holds the largest national park in the entire country, Wrangell-St. Elias National Park, which is about the size of the state of South Carolina.
Yeah, you'll see what, all the debris you see is from a major storm in 2021 next to the river, all of this. And everybody asks why we don't clean it up. Well, it's a river. It's national, but we actually have been going out there. It's banks for great fire.
Alaska is the largest state in the Union, roughly about 1/5 of the total area of the United States of America. Alaska is so big that you could fit 2.3 Texases inside. You could also fit the state of Texas, California, and Montana in the state of Alaska, and there would also be room. In the Yukon Koyukuk census area, it is roughly the size of the state of Montana. There is a census area also known as a borough. Alaska doesn't use counties, we use boroughs, but the Yukon Koyukuk census area is roughly the size of the state of Montana. Alaska is huge, everybody. approach milepost 5.8, we'll be coming up on the Denver station. This is a regular flag stop for our railroad because of the popular hiking trail in this area. In a few moments, we'll pass a red caboose on the right. This caboose was once part of White Pass's rolling stock, but was given to the Forest Service to serve as an overnight hiker's cabin. It costs $53 a night to rent and seats 6 uncomfortably. As we pass the caboose, we'll be making our first crossing over the Skagway River along the Denver Glacier Bridge. On the left will be a view of our train curving over this bridge. On the right will be a great view of the Denver Valley. Starting to poke out, so open up your all aboard magazine to page 14, the floor identification chart. I just saw some yarrow, some western columbine, and Nuka lupine. Want to have your cameras ready because on our left coming up will be a clearing in the trees that'll give us a great view of the river valley, Skagway, and even a few of those cruise ships we have in port today. When we reach this clearing, be sure to look over your left shoulder for a view of the Denver Glacier Bridge, which we crossed about a mile back. pass through a granite corridor called Rocky Point. Here, railroad construction workers face an enormous obstacle, a 20,000-ton wall of granite, and the tracks had to be laid through here. The project had budgeted 450 tons of black blasting powder for the entire railroad. As it turned out, over half of that stockpile was needed just to blast through this 1/4 mile section. Is the Klondike Highway. It is the one road in or out of Skagway. Skagway is one of 3 communities in southeast Alaska that you can actually drive to from the lower 48. The other 2 are Haines and Hyder. Haines is about 45 minutes away by ferry, and Hyder is in the southeast corner of southeast Alaska, south of Ketchikan. Hyder is a ghost town of 39 though. But yeah, if you guys have been to Juneau or are going to Juneau soon, you'll notice that there's a lot of cars there. It is the 3rd most populous city in the state of Alaska. It is also our capital, and you cannot drive to the state capital of Alaska, which is Juneau.
Waterfall above the road just to your left right there? Look down. Right there.
Oh yeah. Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
I'm surprised your mother stayed out there with that giraffe.
I know.
That was big.
I'm surprised you stayed out there with that giraffe.
I had a guardrail right there. I felt pretty scared.
Is it cold out there?
Not too bad, actually.
Okay.
For our folks on the left side, if you look sharply down, you'll see the Skagway River. We're approaching many rapids, which are Class 6, and whitewater classifications 1 through 5 are the ones you are legally allowed to do. The higher the class, the lower margin for error, and the higher chance of very bad things happening if you mess up. Class 6 means you're not allowed to do it whatsoever. Hefty fine if you survive. So take a peek down to the Class 6 rapids of the Skagway River. For our folks on the right, we're going to be passing about 20 seasonal snowmelt waterfalls on the right. They change so often it's hard to point them out, but just keep your eyes peeled to the right. And remember, we're going to take a loop at the top, so you don't have to worry about taking a picture of the back of people's heads.
That is our town incinerator. We have to burn all of our trash because there's too many bears in the area.
Where's the incinerator?
Incinerated.
Oh, it's over there.
Yeah. That building. You can see the heat plume out of the top.
Wow.
Probably don't have much trash.
Still people.
850. So I mean, I'm sure it's tourist season. I'm sure it'll go up.
Across the gorge to our left, you should see a building with a blue roof. This is our United States Customs building. The actual border is still 12 miles ahead of us at the summit, but Customs was built here because of the extreme climate and terrain at higher elevations. Directly below the Customs building, painted onto the cliff face, are the words, "On to Alaska with Buchanan." This is a tribute to George Buchanan, who was a wealthy coal baron from Detroit, Michigan. During the 1920s and 30s, he sponsored underprivileged children on transcontinental expeditions from Detroit to Alaska. They learned outdoor skills as well as how to conduct themselves with professionalism, and a special part of their trip was riding our train. On to Alaska with Buchanan became their proud slogan, and a reunion group of Buchanan boys painted the slogan onto the rock face to commemorate Buchanan's enduring legacy.
Did I miss it?
No.
Okay, it's still coming up, right?
See the goat? It was right there, and there's a. Yes, it wasn't a real one. We have a engineer who's worked for us for 53 years. He actually puts out non-indigenous animals, little statues out on the side for you to see. There's a few more along the way, but that one was a little goat loading dynamite into a wagon. Yeah, when you work for us for 53 years, you can do whatever you want.
Do you see much wildlife?
I always say no. We're trained, we scare them away. But the wildlife has made me a liar more days than not this year. So if we do see anything, it'll be a bear. But probably, I always say no, we won't see anything. But hopefully I'm a liar.
It's better to see now and have a pleasant surprise.
Do you see this tattoo?
The trees. It's like a good little hideout.
Shortly on our left, and approximately 50 feet below the tracks, we'll pass by what's called Black Cross Rock. The Klondike Gold Rush captured the imaginations of people from all walks of life, but many had never experienced hard labor before. The foreman of our railroad's construction, Michael Heaney, was a brilliant engineer and dedicated leader. He worked around the clock to oversee and organize one of the most highly educated and least experienced workforces anyone had ever seen. 35,000 workers would help to build this railroad before earning enough money to continue on to the Klondike. While injuries were frequent, there were just 35 recorded fatalities on the job. Maurice Dunn and Alex Janeau were hanging from ropes, working on a massive overhang of granite when it suddenly came loose and fell on the two men, crushing them instantly. Unable to retrieve the bodies without disturbing their remains, Michael Heaney marked the boulder with a wooden cross to serve as both a tribute to the two men and all the workers who died during the railroad's construction. The cross is about 50 feet below the train to our left, and it stands directly on top of the massive boulder we call Black Cross Rock. this clearing, but the next clearing will be Black Cross Rock. On the left is that massive boulder that fell on Maurice Dunn and Alex Genome. This clearing on the left holds Black Cross Rock, the monument to all the workers that died during our railroad's construction, which took 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days. trees on our left will clear, giving us a view of the largest waterfall we'll see on our trip, Bridal Veil Falls. seen from our train. Fed by the Carmack Glacier high above, its waters cascade over 5,000 feet to the valley floor. It was said that even the most jaded stampeder couldn't help but stop to admire its beauty. few moments, we'll pass several clearings in the trees on our left. If you look upwards across the valley, you should be able to see what looks like a road along the mountainside. What we're seeing is not a highway, but our railroad. We call it the Highline section. It's about 3 miles ahead by rail and 700 feet above us from where we are now. You can see our famous wooden trestle bridge or the deep chasm of Glacier Gorge, which will lead us into our first tunnel. And yes, we are headed up there.
When we get to the summit, if I'm not in here to tell you, when we go through our second tunnel, start looking to the left-hand side. You're going to see the original trail from 125 years ago. It hasn't been maintained for 125 years, but it's still, you can still easily see it. It's still pretty prominent. And that'll be after we come out of our second tunnel on the left-hand side. It's really cool.
If you look to your left about the 10 o'clock, you should be able to see that wooden trestle bridge I was talking about.
They have a lot of termites here.
They need to cut these trees down so we can see things better.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking that. It'll make this much more enjoyable. I mean, they can spare a couple.
Yeah. Oh, that wood trestle. Oh, gosh. That doesn't look like, just look very good, does it? Let's see.
that good thing.
I don't want to block your shot. I just stand inside of it. I said I just stand inside. I don't want to hog it.
It's retaining for the look at all the stuff that's waterfall to fall down. And to put it in retaining. Trap is like that. Secure that. It's pretty secure.
It's not the first twins.
In this area, like I say, we will not see wildlife, but it's this area where they make me a liar. So keep your eyes, so just keep it peeled.
If you look to the trees to our left, you might notice some of them have bright green tips. Those are the Sitka spruce tree, and those are known as spruce tips. The local Tlingit, the Native Americans of the southeast coast of Alaska, used to brew a tea with those spruce tips due to the high vitamin C content. It would help prevent them from getting scurvy. Well, once the gold rushers got up here, they did not like the tea. It was way too bitter for their taste. So instead, they started brewing beer with those spruce tips. There are many stores in town and restaurants that still sell Skagway brewed spruce tip beer.
That's worth one can of beer.
look ahead at those distant mountaintops, roughly at your 11 o'clock, you should spot some blue coloration in the snow up there. That is the Claremac Glacier sitting atop Mount Cleveland. This is the glacier that feeds Bridalveil Falls, which we saw about 4 miles back. So if you look roughly at your 11 o'clock, there's 3 distant peaks. Below that middle peak down and to the left in that snow bowl is the Claremac Glacier poking out really well. We don't always have beautiful days like today here in Skagway, so it's a real treat to have these mountains in full view. The jagged peaks over your left shoulder and high above are called the Sawtooth Peaks. They're the tallest mountains in this area at over 7,000 feet above sea level. Thousands of years ago, a massive glacier filled the valleys we see around us. As the glacier flowed towards the ocean, the incredible wave shaped and smoothed the mountains and valleys beneath the ice. But it wasn't high enough to reach the peaks of the Sawtooths, so they appear much more jagged than the mountainsides at lower elevations. Generally here in southeast Alaska, if a mountain is higher than 1 mile tall, 5,280 feet, it will have those jagged peaks like the Sawtooths. Anything lower than a mile generally has been smoothed over by the glaciers. You'll notice to the right of the Sawtooth Peaks, the mountaintops are a lot more smooth. That is due to glaciation or glacier erosion. Have your cameras ready because in a few moments we'll be taking the wooden trestle bridge across the Glacier Gorge. We're approximately 1,000 feet above the valley floor right now. Out to the left side we'll have a spectacular view of the entire train as it takes us into our first tunnel of the day. This tunnel is about 250 feet in length, so be prepared for a few moments of darkness.
You wish you had a drone right now.
Yes. I'm getting it all in 4K though. 45 minutes of video so far.
Why you see blue ice or blue snow every now and then, that's because the ice or snow is so dense that it does not have any oxygen in that area. So it'll reflect all the colors on the spectrum except for light blue, pretty much like the sky. This will be dark for about 12 to 15 seconds in this tunnel. When we come out of this tunnel on the way back, it'll be the second tunnel. Remember that, the second tunnel. When we come out of it, it is one of the most beautiful pictures. You can kind of see how it is when we go in. But it's one of the most beautiful pictures you can take on the train. Some girl, she actually made a video of this exiting the tunnel about 2 weeks ago. Put it on TikTok. It has over 28 million views right now. Oh my God. So imagine when you're coming out and this opens up if you want to do a video. It's pretty spectacular.
Coming up is milepost 17, Inspiration Point. If you look over your left shoulder, you'll see a body of water in the distance. That is the Skagway Harbor again, now from a distance of about 12 miles. Might even be able to spot some of the ships we have in port today. Up and to the right of Inspiration Point is Mount Harding, named after President Warren G. Harding, the first president to visit Alaska. Telephone lines. When the railroad was first built, they were actually originally telegraph lines, and then when the Army requisitioned us in 1942, they upgraded them to telephone lines because of the amount of traffic that was on the track. Unfortunately, we do not have telephone lines here anymore. We have to use radios on repeaters.
We have to use radios or
When
repeaters.
stampeders
We have
arrived
to
in
use radios on
Skagway, they only had 2 trails they could take through these mountains: the steeper Chilkoot Trail or the longer White Pass Trail. Both were grueling and perilous, but the White Pass was especially attractive to the inexperienced, who were eager to use pack animals to make their arduous climb easier. Many stampeders lacked the skills or patience to care for their animals properly. Most didn't at all. As the trail climbed, it grew more and more dangerous, and so too did their desperation. It would be the horses who paid the ultimate price. Thousands of them perished due to overwork, poor nutrition, and excessive burdens. Many were claimed by the treacherous pass itself, where a single misstep led to falls of hundreds of feet. Others were shot or abandoned when they could no longer continue, because it was far cheaper to replace the animal than it was to feed it. Milepost 17.5, known as Dead Horse Gulch, remains a poignant reminder of this tragic chapter in Gold Rush history. Appalled by the cruelty they witnessed, railroad engineers took great care to ensure the welfare of the horses used to help build our railway, ultimately bringing an end to the brutal conditions of the White Pass Trail. You'll see our famous steel cantilever bridge coming into view. It stands 215 feet tall, and when it was completed in 1901, it was the largest rail bridge of its kind in the world. Don't worry, we won't be crossing this bridge. It was retired in 1969 and replaced by the bridge ahead of us, which is the one we'll be taking. As we cross this ravine, we'll have a great parallel view of the steel cantilever bridge before we enter our second tunnel of the day. It's nearly 3 times longer than the first, so be prepared for a longer period of darkness.
A little disrepair there.
A little.
That's just firewood.
our train and to the left lies a narrow moss-covered ledge. This is a remnant of the original White Pass Trail, also known as the Trail of 98. This trail, scarcely wider than the benches in our coach cars, once teemed with people and burdened pack animals. On this path, two continuous streams of travelers flowed, one marching north towards the summit in pursuit of distant riches, and the other descending south through the pass they had just conquered. But why? The goldfields were in a remote environment that could barely sustain a small population, let alone the influx of tens of thousands. Faced with the looming threat of mass starvation, the Canadian government intervened. No stampeder bound for the Klondike would cross the border without the necessary food and equipment. Weighing well over 1,000 pounds, this was famously called the 1 ton of goods, an undertaking impossible to complete in a single trip. Instead, most formed teams, making dozens of trips along the mountain to transport all their supplies up the pass. Quickly approaching the international border. Sharply above us and to the left there will be the bronze obelisk that marks the international border. Just past the obelisk will be a small wooden cabin with a sign reading NWMP. This is a replica of the border station used by the Northwest Mounted Police. Day and night they stood guard through extreme wind, snow, and freezing temperatures to inspect every stampeder and ensure they had their 1 ton of goods. This small rocky ledge coming up on the left is that bronze obelisk that marks the international border. Alrighty folks, we've made it to the White Pass summit. We are now at 2,888 feet above sea level. Those 4 flags we see to our left are the United States flag, the Alaska flag, British Columbia, and Canada. The fortune seekers who managed to reach the summit with all their supplies may have finally triumphed over the grueling White Pass Trail, but in reality their quest had only just begun. 20 more miles would take them to Lake Bennett. From there they could build a raft, load it with their goods, and set out on a journey to navigate 550 miles of interconnected lakes and rivers before finally arriving in Dawson City and the Klondike Goldfields.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
I think there was a beaver back there.
Was it?
The body of water we see to the left is called Summit Lake. It is a glacial tarn or ribbon lake, which means it was gouged out of the bedrock by glacial erosion. With depths reaching over 150 feet, it's about 4 miles long and doesn't get much wider than what we see here. And yes, fish do live in this lake, mostly Arctic grayling and stocked lake trout. coastal natives of this area, but once you got over the pass, you had the Tagish First Nations people. The Tagish called this area the Forsaken Valley due to the fact the trees don't get very tall and there's not much vegetation or wildlife here. In its own way, it is still quite beautiful.
Stacked rockers. Some big heavy rocks.
We're about to take our loop in the track, which will turn our train around so we can face the opposite direction. So after taking this loop, everyone will be on the opposite side for a ride back down to Skagway along the same set of tracks we took up the mountain. At this point, you have all met our roaming tour guides, Justin and Rob. The next time you see them, they won't be empty-handed. They will have some special souvenirs available for purchase. The first item is our exclusive White Pass and Yukon route baseball-style hat for $15. This hat is special because it's only sold on board the train and nowhere else. Not even our very own gift shop in town. It comes in black and features the 125th year anniversary White Pass logo embroidered on the front, Skagway, Alaska on the side so you don't forget where you got it, and the phrase Gateway to the Yukon on the back. It is fully Velcro adjustable, so one size fits most. Again, the hat is $15. Next, they'll have the White Pass Journey DVD for $15. This 105-minute long documentary greatly expands on the rich history of our railroad and the Klondike Gold Rush, with footage shot in all 4 seasons highlighting all 67 miles of our railroad in use today. The DVD is fully narrated and plays worldwide. So the hat's $15, the DVD's $15, but wait, there's more! If you're interested in both, we have a special combo deal for you. We'll knock off $5 to make it an even $25, and we'll include our Scenic Journey photo book for free. This photo book is only available with the purchase of the combo. It is not sold separately. So that's the hat, the DVD, and photo book, all for $25. Our roaming guides only have these 3 items. Any other souvenirs you saw in the All Aboard magazine can be found at our depot gift shop back in town. They only have enough time to come through with these items once. If you're interested in any of these souvenirs, please let them know as they come through your coach cars. They only accept United States cash, and exact change is appreciated. They can make change if needed. And of course, as your roaming tour guides, please don't hesitate to let them know if you have any questions.
Especially what we've been putting ourselves through every night.
Tricky to tell, but we've just completed our loop. Now our train is facing the opposite direction. Summit Lake is now on our right, and we're heading back towards the border. Also on the right will be that replica cabin used by the NWMP, and immediately afterwards will be the border, marked by the obelisk standing on top of a rocky ledge, sharply upwards on the right.